we're going to talk about what you can eat for dinner on a Duke of Edinburgh expedition.
So there's a lot of dehydrated meals that you'll get that are kind of branded as expedition food. And a lot of those are quite good. A lot of those are relatively heavy and not as many calories as you probably want them to be. So you do need to think quite carefully about trying them before you bring them. Because if you bring 4 meals that you hate, you're going to have a really miserable time. And thinking about whether or not they actually have a good amount of calories for how much energy you're going to be burning. So there are some really good brands. There are some that I really like. So I particularly like the fire pot meals. But that's just a personal preference. It is really worth buying a few different ones and trying them before you go away on your trip.
However, you don't have to buy your food from the outdoor shop. You could also get some bits and pieces from the supermarket. So things like instant mashed potato, I quite like this brand. Or couscous are really easy to cook. You just add hot water and then take it off the heat and they expand and soak up all the water. I quite like the Ainsley Harriott brand.
But equally, Lidl, Aldi, they do their own brands of couscous as well, and they are just as good. In similar idea of supermarket available, but like still along the lines of dehydrated food, things like dried pasta are excellent. You can buy the sort of stir-in sauce packets, so they're slightly lighter than having to carry a whole jar with you. But that's a really nice, easy meal. You'd want to make sure that you bring a couple of sauces, because quite often what we find is once you've opened it, there's no way of then restoring it without making an absolute mess of your rucksack. So you do want to think ahead about either something to store this in between so that you can share it across 2 nights, or bring 2 packets of sauce.
If you don't want to bring sauce, you can get some copper soup and actually stir that into your noodles, and that will add a bit of taste to your dish. We have a lot of issues with pot noodles coming in, and a traditional pot noodle probably doesn't have the nutrition to keep you going. But a slightly nicer packet of instant noodles, something like this, fits your bill a lot better.
And then the other thing with dinner is, if you're someone that's used to having a little sweet treat after dinner, don't forget to bring that on DOV with you. So there's a whole load of options. You might just want to bring some sweeties so that you can have something sweet after you've had your main meal. There are all sorts of dessert options. So if you are planning on buying your food from an outdoor shop, there's things like vanilla pudding that you can buy in a sachet that's dehydrated.
Otherwise, a hot drink just before you go to bed will keep you warm at night. So something like these little sachets of hot chocolate are great to have just before you go to bed.